Welcome back to the second part
Mm,
of the best academy in the world video. I think we got cut off when we were talking about Man City. I think Sheikh Mansour,
you don't
he
like it.
yeah, I think his team of hackers had
Yeah.
something to say about it.
You don't
So
like bad PR. You don't like bad PR.
they don't like bad PR, but it was a nice natural break anyway because part
Mm,
two is going to be talking about the rest of the world. So for those who watched the first part of the show, we talked about, and the question was, are Chelsea the best academy, not only in the Premier League but in
mm,
the world right now? I'm
mm,
not talking about legacy, not talking about 30 years ago, not interested about what certain players did in the 1990s. I'm talking about the current crop that are doing things in world football as we speak. So we talked about Manchester United. We touched
mm,
upon Man City. Now let's get real juicy right here, right now. I think this is the creme de la creme. We're now going to be
mm.
talking about clubs like Ajax. When you think about football, you think about
Yes.
Ajax. You know what I mean? Like, well,
Oh,
beautiful. The way that they educate their players. I feel like they look at the players' legs when they're like born and everything. I was like, yeah, he's going to be an Ajax player. I
yeah,
mean, it's just
yeah.
that way of playing and the way that they breed these players. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they're just built different. As in, they're just built Dutch. I feel like maybe it's Dutch culture that to just like know football.
Mm.
I feel like maybe schools in the Netherlands just don't do like they have a separate lesson about football. You sit there, you learn total football. In the playground, you have to PE is not even PE anymore. It's just you
Yeah,
practicing total football because the players they come out with is it's not realistic anymore. It's
yeah,
it's not been realistic for a while. Like it's not just the level of talent, it's the style of player because you can get a player from Ajax that's maybe not technical, they're just intelligent though. They move
mm.
about with such ease, with like as we say in football that footballers now are becoming stupider in the sense of they're just being taught to follow instructions instead of actually learn how to make things on their own. Ajax will disprove you every day of the week. All of
Mm.
them know what to do by themselves. They
Yeah.
just understand how it works, whatever it is. It's
Well,
just them.
Ajax is they've got the legacy. When we compare it
Mm,
to these other football teams,
mm,
yeah, they are the ones. Now they've had a similar stance in a situation like Manchester United, the class of '92. They've had a,
mm,
a crop of players who won the Champions League in '95 under Van Gaal, and there has been a steady flow of these players. But my question is, are they still as good now compared to what we've talked about in the previous show, Chelsea and Man United? Look at the caliber of players. Individually, are they succeeding in the same manner that
mm,
the United players that we talked about and the Chelsea players that we talked about are doing well.
mm,
But when we think about Ajax, I'm thinking about your Delits. This is a guy who was a captain at 18. This is a
don't
guy who
sleep on him.
16, 17 in Europa League final, nullifying Marcus Rashford. I mean,
Oh,
this guy had an incredible start, an absolutely
mm,
incredible start into his career. Um, yeah, let's discuss because obviously he's
yeah.
now at Juventus, probably not having that impact that we thought would happen.
I'm putting that all on Juventus. I don't care what anyone says. This guy is
Mm,
a talent, and people say like he's flopped. His career is over. He's in his
mm.
early 20s. Like he's still a kid. Like if you think about most of your top like ballers that like most of the top talents, they're a lot old. They're still older than him. He
Mm,
just got a really early start. I think like this is still the best young centre back in world football.
mm.
Don't get like that mistaken. He's still very young. He still has so much time to develop. I just think he just chose the wrong club to go to. I think Juventus haven't treated. I think because of the way Italian football works, it just was a mismatch, and the break trying to break up Chiellini and Benucci just wasn't gonna work out for him. but individually, he's still the same
I'm
talent he
gonna
always was.
I'm gonna stop you right there
Mm,
because if he's learning
yeah.
under Chiellini and Bonucci, surely this is another football education. So you've had the Ajax,
Mm,
the upbringing. Now
mm,
you're with real defenders, absolute
mm,
legends of the game from a defensive capacity. Surely it's a win-win situation for this guy. Even though yes, his career at Juventus perhaps
mm,
has been a bit of a stall by the
yeah.
rate of trajectory that everybody thought he was going to be on. But surely that's a benefit for him long term. Defenders, don't forget, last a long time in
Yeah,
football.
like the fact that he started at like 17, he still got another, he
Mm,
had like 20 years left on him. He probably still has 20 years left on him right now.
mm,
But it's because Italian football is just, I think it's too different.
yeah.
I think it's too far from what he knows for him to adapt. I think he's trying to he's basically having to relearn football
Mm,
in a way, because like it's like the styles are completely different. I think because if you've seen him actually at Juventus, like he reset and he's slowly starting to get back to where he
mm,
was. Because
yeah.
if anyone has been following him, his first season was pretty shocking. Then his second
Yeah.
season, we were seeing a bit more. Like obviously, Juventus itself
It
has
was
been a bit of a
steady, but
mess.
not
Yeah,
not
but
special. Yeah.
it's steady, but it wasn't at the rate. It's not at the same rate
Mm,
as what he was doing at Ajax. Because I think obviously he's been there since like birth. He just is just indoctrinated into that whole way of football. I think just
mm,
trying to go to something that's completely different. Like I think it's just like they're almost Dutch football and Italian football. You could say in a way are almost polar opposites in the
yeah.
way they operate. I think he's just struggled to switch from one to the other. I think you can't really put that too much on him. I think it's just a really big adaptation that many players would have struggled to make.
Well, I think Ajax have from a media point of view, and as I said, when there's one or two players have come from it, Ajax Academy, I feel like it
Mm,
gets blown up more than it perhaps is because of the legacy. As I said, maybe that is a sign of a successful one. Maybe the questions I'm asking is probably a bit too short-sighted. You know what I mean? Like, actually, does
mm,
academy go beyond, just the immediate? Is it 10 years, 20 years? Don't know.
mm,
That's a discussion point in itself. As I said, when I'm just looking at the current crop of players,
mm.
you got your Delits, you got your Donny van der
The
Beeks.
big,
These
yeah,
are these are players who I felt became fashionable to a lot of football fans because of the Champions League run that they went
yeah,
on, and only just cruelly sort of going out against Spurs, very much last kick of the game.
yeah,
And you know, you have Donny van der Beek, so you have your Delits. Frenkie de Jong isn't actually someone
yeah.
really actually associated with. He's
I,
probably considered Ajax Academy, but he was at a different club. He came
yeah,
quite late on, so we can't even include him. So you got those two guys, but then after that whole run, you've had people like your Gravenberg, your Dests, Serge
yeah.
Dest, and you've gone to Barcelona. Like I don't
Mm,
know, like the Gravenberg seems to be he is considered probably one of the top talents
mm.
in world football right now in terms of that centre midfield position. A lot of
Yeah,
people.
that
I
kind of
don't. I
setup.
yeah. Some people have even compared him to Paul Pogba. I'm not sure where they've got that from.
That
I
doesn't make any sense because he's
no.
not box to box. He's not this Mazzala that I don't even think I've even seen him do that box to box
Mm,
role personally.
yeah.
But he's he's one of those another one of these intelligent players that is very good at reading the game.
Mm,
Obviously he's got the passing range of I like
yeah.
it's the weird thing is like they let De Jong go for such a high price
Yeah.
and it didn't even look like they cared. This is not to
Yeah.
discredit De Jong, but I think they just knew they had that next
Yeah.
player that and he just came in and slotted in perfectly. Just came in, did the exact same thing, and his looks in some ways people might say better, in some ways just as good, but he's
Mm.
a very talented player.
But you also got people like you know who I like to consider as sort of supplementing world football. People like Donyell Malen, who high prospect.
Mm.
He's now at Dortmund. And you're thinking, he's 1 minute he's considering having a good season, then he doesn't look like he is. Is a bit of inconsistency that comes with it. Bergwijn, at Spurs, like he should be tearing it up. But again, has he had that same impact? And even Mitchell back actually, Bayer Leverkusen are having a good season.
Yeah.
So again, is he?
But is he really like a big part of their good season?
And that's the question for me. So that kind of leaves the likes of Sven Botman. This is a guy who has been linked a number of times with the big teams in Europe.
Mm.
He is doing bits. So is he a guy, a player to come? In the same way that perhaps your De Lits have and your Donnies were talked about. Is he the next guy from the academy to get these big moves?
Mm. I think Sven Botman, he's not the same level of player as De Ligt, because De Ligt is just he's a bit of a superhuman in that kind of like mentality, that kind of just like his stature, everything. I think he's got too much. I think De Jong's whole physical presence, a lot of what he's done is just a bit. It's not normal. You don't really get a player like that too often. But I think Sven Botman is going to be a player that he might not be a player that lights up the world in terms of like centre backs, but he's going to be that player that you're going to always rely on. I think that's what he's looking. That's what he's looked to become. When you sometimes see like the missing piece of a puzzle.
Yeah.
Like you need that last person to put in to make everything secure. I think he's that kind of guy. Just like he might not individually himself be a superstar, but what he offers your team, the level of consistency he's shown, and like the way he's able to just adapt to his situation. Yeah. And it's not that he's just doing one job. Sometimes he's doing one game, he's been more of the aggressor. One game he's been more of the sweeper. Another game he's just been on board. So he's going to be that player that you can tell him to do. Oh, can you do this game? It's kind of like a good serviceman.
Yeah.
Like I think like Leo are going to look back on him and be like, yeah, this was a good serviceman for our club.
But comparing this, going back to the original thing, it's Chelsea. The title, are they the best in the world? If we do a comparison to these guys, is it the case where actually have what Ajax done been any better than these guys, than the Chelsea guys? So I feel kind of not really.
I kind of feel like Chelsea's probably been better. If you really think about it. Because how many players from Ajax are really doing that well? Van der Beek, he has his own situation because of the whole Oli. United was a bit of a mess, so we're not going to really like. He wasn't really playing then, and now he is. Now Ragnick, like I think we still have time to look at what he's done. But the other players, even to look at, I know De Jong's not really a particular like he's like not exactly from the academy, but De Jong at Barcelona, although individually he might have been good, the club itself has been a bit of a turmoil. If you look at the way other players have gone, De Ligt not having such a great time at Juventus, like we haven't actually seen a player from Ajax in a while go on from Ajax and be that kind of level of player. Like Ajax used to have superstars. Like it used to be, if you were from the Ajax academy, you're going to be our next starter.
Is that where perhaps coming from the Ajax academy is a bit of a curse in some ways when it comes to football fans? The expectation levels are so high. You saw, as I said, people are writing off De Ligt's career, and he's in his early 20s.
Yeah,
and you're like, well, hang on, and people are starting to question. I don't want to actually. I'm not going to even talk about Frenkie de Jong, but Donny van de Beek, barely getting into the United team.
And dropped for the Netherlands as well.
And it's kind of question is, well, if Donny came from a different club in Europe, would there be so much fight With the, I'm not,
Yeah,
you can see that he can play football. He's a
yeah.
talented player, but would there be such a discussion point? Is what I'm trying to get at.
I think it's not just with Ajax. I think it's all with all these legacy clubs that have produced such great talents. You get the issue of, oh, we've now produced such a high level of talent, and they expect them to repeat it again.
Mm,
Like we've seen the likes of, as in, for example, with Barcelona. When's the next Messi coming with United? I we comparing. I'm sorry, like when people are gonna say, "Oh, now we have now we're producing players like McTominay and Pereira. We were
yeah,
producing Scholes." Like that's a bit like Scholes is a
it's
very
yeah,
high stand. Like is an unrealistic standard to look up to, because Scholes is
yeah,
considered one of the greatest midfielders ever. And
but
then
yeah, it's not
like the
sustainable,
standard
is
is,
it?
yeah, you can't. No, I've never seen a club to consistently produce world class generation after generation after generation after generation. I don't think it's even physically possible to do that,
Mm,
because just to get that certain amount of talent is already rare, and and have a generation of that talent is very rare in general. Then to
yeah.
continuously do that, we're not going to get, as in, I wouldn't be surprised if England doesn't see another class of 92 in the next 100 years, because that's just it's too ridiculous.
Well, yeah, yeah, and I think that's a fantastic point that you raised earlier. Like these comparisons to former legends, it is hard. It is hard. But going from one academy, renowned academy, to another, and Sporting's
Mm,
academy, again, very legacy based.
yeah.
Instantly people want to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. So
Mm,
this club must be
Nani.
something. Nani. But are they? Yeah, they've produced a few players. So you've got your Nuno Mendes, you've got your
Yeah.
Rafael Leao's at
Uh,
AC Milan,
Rui
Eric Dyer,
Patricio, which
Daniel
is
Daniel Podence and everything like that, and
yeah.
Gelson Martin. Like, yeah, they're the players. But my question is actually, is this a club that is living off legacy? A thing that I've accused other clubs of perhaps doing. Maybe it's not necessarily the club's fault.
Mm,
Maybe it's more of a PR drive from the media. But are they even the best in Portugal? Because when you look at their rivals in terms of Benfica, I
mm,
can think of far more current players that are doing
yeah.
things in world football right now compared to, say, Sporting. And when you compare what player for player they're doing, I don't think it's even a discussion point. Like, I'm gonna go through it with you. So Ruben Diaz at
Yeah,
this is
damn.
Benfica. Ruben Diaz,
That's it.
Cancelo,
Yeah.
Bernardo Silva. Basically, it
Uh
seems like anybody Benfica now. But you know,
Basically most of the top Portuguese players right now, most likely Benfica they came from.
you know, people. I know there'll be people saying, "Oh, João Felix and Edison." No, 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 no,
That's
no, no,
like,
no, no. Let's be consistent. I'm going to be try and be
yeah,
consistent as much as I can. João Felix is a Porto player. Okay, in
yeah.
terms of academy, he went to Benfica quite late. Edison again went to
To
Benfica at
Benfica, but
17. So he came from Sao Paulo.
yeah.
So I'm not going to give credit, just like how I haven't given Man City and Arsenal and people like that credit because they're buying in these players or they're getting these players in at such a late age
Mm,
from an academy point of view. But you still have people like Renato Sanchez, who's had a rebirth. You've
yeah.
got Guedes, you've got Gedson Fernandez, and you've got Jota, at Celtic. So
Yeah.
that's a long list of people. I'm having to go back to Eric Dyer to talk about Sporting, and Eric
And
Dyer's,
then yeah,
he came from academy a long, long time
we
ago.
and Eric Dyer has got his certain nicknames like Eric Diarrhea, Eric Diazepam. Like the guy he's not
Harsh.
seen as a top. Like it might be some of them might be a bit harsh, but he's
Mm.
not seen as a very good player. Granted, if anyone saw, he had a great game against Liverpool, but I mean that doesn't come too often.
Well, I think if there was a poll that was done right now, who's a better player
Yeah,
individually?
yeah.
Take away trophies, take away
Mm.
Dyer or Diaz. I think it would be a bit of a landslide.
Landslide, yeah.
Yeah,
Bit of a
but
landslide.
so for me, but Sporting are hanging on to a legacy where
Mm.
Benfica have overtaken, and actually
Mm.
could Benfica be up there in terms of the best in the world? Because going back to, and I'm listening to the fans,
Mm.
I'm listening to the callers, I'm listening to you. You're talking about the high level. What is it that these guys
Yeah.
do top? Well, the players that we just mentioned there, the likes of Diaz and Cancelo and Silvers, they are getting big trophies. They are
And they're
winning
important.
internationally.
They're
Exactly.
important to their sides.
Getting to Champions League finals,
Mm.
getting to finals is a common word in Man City squad.
Mm. Yeah.
So this the question's there. Is Benfica one of the best?
Mm.
Is it better than Chelsea's because of this the importance that these players have and the trophies that they're winning,
Mm.
not only for club but
For
for
country
country
as well.
as well.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
it's a discussion point to be had there.
Mm.
Let's
Even,
hear your thoughts in the comments.
yeah. Even with Sporting, there's like the best player I can think of recently from Sporting is probably Podence. And although Podence, I do think Podence is quite a good player. Bernardo Silva exists, and you're like you're there thinking, is it really? Are these? Can you really measure up to all these players that other clubs
Yeah.
are producing? Like it's
Mm,
not really the same level of talent or the same level of not even just talent of what they go on to achieve. Because
yeah.
I like Podence, like even what Podence does on pitch is very good, but other players do it better.
Yeah.
So it's like it's just unfortunate for them. I think they had a flash in the pan in years ago with like again like Ronaldo and then afterwards Nani, two very skilled, incredible players, and then
Yeah.
they've kind of hung on to those, especially those two, because those are very high quality. Like if you watch them play, those are two very high quality players. I think
Mm,
they've held on to like I think charisma as well. Like they've held on to that for so long, but they haven't really actually produced much more past
mm,
that. Even if you look immediately like future past that era,
yeah.
there aren't many top players you can actually name to me. Like maybe someone can disprove me in the comments, but you can't really name that many top players or
Mm,
even just generally good players that have come from the sporting academy.
yeah. Yeah. No, and the discussion point is there, and this is the whole point and the
Mm.
premise of our show. It's the uncomfortable truth. We want to really hit,
Mm.
hard the questions. Sporting
Mm.
always seen as the best academy in Portugal. Well, here, we've just argued that case as to why.
Mm.
But guys, in the comments, I want to hear your thoughts on who the best academy is. We're doing the rest of the world, but we're in touching really upon a number of teams. We haven't even touched upon South America,
Oh.
which and if anything, I want you as the fans, I want you to educate other fans, educate myself and Sam, and really talk
Mm.
about what these South American clubs are doing. It'd be fantastic to get those comments on there. If there's anybody else in Europe that we've perhaps missed, or anybody else in the world, in that fact,
Mm.
there might be someone in the US who actually is low key producing
Mm.
producing mad
Well,
talent.
we haven't even
Bring it up.
mentioned these like the whole Red Bull that they do their whole weird academy
Yeah,
graduate system
but
thing. I don't
yeah,
really know how that works. That one I don't think
but
we can really count because they
no,
do it.
I'm not overly convinced because they buy from other places.
Yeah.
I think they buy from other places, buy low, sell high, and I think that's their model. So I, I'm not gonna put it in that same category. I think when it comes to club
Mm.
structures, I think the RB, and we've talked about it in previous
Yeah,
shows,
it
it's a
is,
good
yeah.
structure, but is it a good academy?
Academy.
I'm
Mm.
not I'm not I'm not convinced. They don't bring these people in from like 6 years old.
No,
and
no,
keep
no,
him there.
no.
So but finally, how is it that we talk about academies and we don't talk about arguably probably joint with Ajax in terms of legacy, but if not even better because of what they've done with that, and that's La Messi, that's
Yeah.
Barcelona. Now, if there is the legacy to have, it is this place. You have arguably one of the greatest of all time in Lionel Messi coming from there.
Oh
You
my
you know
god.
you have your Xavis, your Iniestas, your Fabregases. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's absolutely ridiculous. They probably played the best football for a generation.
Like
Nobody could get close to these people. I think Chelsea Juju only stopped Barcelona. This was a top team.
you could make a starting 11 of purely players to come from the academy, and you'll basically get one of the best all-time 11s. We're not even, and I'm not even joking. Like
Mm,
the likes of Busquets, Puyol, Victor Valdez, Pep Guardiola, Jordi Alba, Pedro, Robert, like the squad and the depth they will have. It's they're just ridiculous,
mm.
ridiculous.
And this is another legacy team. It's another one. It's not like
Mm,
DJ Khaled, another one.
another.
It's just it's mad. And a bit like with Ajax, are they a victim? Are they a victim of the fact that because they've had such incredible players that anything that comes afterwards, people like your Delafeus, your Affolais, and you know,
Ah,
do you know what I mean? That they are put on a
Adama.
pedestal. Well, we'll get to Adama actually on that one. But are they sort of put on this pedestal? And when they don't deliver, it's kind of case of like, oh, they're rubbish and it's that and ever. But actually,
Mm,
is the comparisons hard because they're being compared to Messi's and Iniesta straight away
mm,
because of that La Mesa connection? Probably, it's hard. But I want to concentrate on the players now that are doing it in football. That's
yeah.
coming through. And when you look at the names that are given, I don't think this is a bad list. We're looking at players like Ansu Fati,
Oh,
Danny Olmo,
oh,
you know, Icardi, Gavi.
oh.
Like, but
Icardi's a bit of a sticky one, though.
well, yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah, potentially.
I don't think he would be welcomed back in that academy anytime soon.
Mm. But you
Uh,
have, but you have likes of Adama Traore who
mm,
is Marmite. There's a lot of fans who rate him very highly in terms of his dribbling abilities. There's other
mm.
fans that perhaps question, is he all that
As
because
good
of
as
his
people say, yeah.
because of that end product. Um, but you still have your likes of your Maribas, your Eric
Mm.
Garces, you
Gavi's.
Takafusa Kubo, who I know
Oh,
that there's going to be people at this point are going, oh no, no, he's Real Madrid, he's Real Madrid. No, go look at the history. This guy is
spent a
Barcelona
long
Academy.
time at Barcelona. A
5 years
long time.
at this. Yeah, they had to release him because of the whole child trafficking scandal.
Yeah,
But he was
was
at
there.
their academy. I have footage of this guy playing.
Yeah,
I think
you
it's actually
can find.
footage of him and Ansu Fati being in the same team.
I think you can actually find that on YouTube. Actually, you can get
Yeah,
the clip on YouTube.
guys, look it up because there's probably some Barcelona fans that will dispute with me that he's not one of theirs. He's Real Madrid's.
Mm.
Go look it up. But he is a product, and this guy was deemed the next Messi. He
Yeah,
was,
he's still yet to come good though. He's still yet to.
yeah. There's a bit of a Martin Odegaard feel about it.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but yeah, but you have Nico, and then you have Anana, the goalkeeper at Ajax or so
Mm,
um, they're all Barca based, and that list of players is not a bad list of players. It's fairly
mm.
credible. Like Ansu Fati, he's had an unfortunate injury, but this guy
When
this guy was talked about being £100 million worth.
we saw it when he came in. They were saying Messi is reborn
Mm,
because the guy's plays like he has a similar play style as well, but he
yeah.
just came in and he looked. It was weird because he made like the senior players look like children. We saw him come into be like one of the youngest scorers ever in La Liga. I think he's the youngest scorer ever of the El Clasico. Like that's not something to like laugh at. This is a
Mm,
he was a serious player. Like probably yeah, I think maybe not now considering what Pedri has done, but
yeah.
when he first came in, he was the best youngster in the whole of La Liga
Mm,
because nobody could talk, no one could talk to him then, and he just the way he played football was just we thought we had another alien. I'm pretty sure looking at him and looking at what Messi's like, I think that's confirmation of extraterrestrial life playing football. It was unbelievable. That injury came at the worst possible moment as well, because I honestly believe he would have saved Barcelona season. He
some big
definitely would have
statements
saved the
there. Big
season.
statements, but he is a fantastic talent. No, there's no doubts about it. But a player that I think is gonna come good, and not necessarily right here, right now, but in years to come. I think Danny
Mm.
Olmo. I think he's very, very good in terms of a technical footballer. I don't think a lot of people necessarily shout too much about this guy. I think even for Spain, he wasn't a starter, but he was very effective in terms of when he would come on, he'd have that impact.
Yes.
And he's learned some really good technical football out in Germany. He understands good football from being in Barcelona academy, and it wouldn't surprise me if someone like a Man City or whoever like actually look at this guy or get this guy, and I think he's going to be big in a few years. I really do.
He looks like a to me he's a pet player.
Mm,
He's definitely he's definitely a Pep player because I think Pep doesn't really like the kind of superstar player that everyone always loves. That's why he's falling out with like a lot of the big names.
mm,
He likes that kind of players that are a bit more like they they're a bit more intelligent with what they do. They just line and they're a bit more like understand that kind of Pep style of pass and move, like working for the team. He's a real team player. I think we saw that, especially we saw that in the Euros, highlighting his performance against Italy. Absolutely unreal. I think to me he was the best player on that pitch, and
yeah.
he absolutely dominated that game. And I think they were actually very lucky. I think it's very lucky to actually go out
Mm,
and like he's definitely one for the future.
yeah.
I'm seeing United linked to him. I don't doesn't seem realistic to me. I would love to have a player like him.
Yeah.
I think many clubs would love to have a player like him. I think another team he could do very, very well at is potentially Chelsea, because we've seen Havertz do that kind of false nine role, linking up play, but I think you'll get more out of Almo
Yeah.
because of the like he just has a bit more about him in like going forward. I think Havertz is a bit he can get a bit like gun shy, as in like he won't shoot as much. He's not gonna like he sometimes chooses to make the pass when he should shoot, the shoot when he should pass, and like the chemistry isn't quite there. And I think Olmo is a player that can gel a bit more into a lot of different teams and just can adapt himself and gel into different teams quite well.
Mm. Uh, do you kind of feel that with Barcelona that there's perhaps a start? You look at the players that are coming in, whether it was
Mm.
forced players coming in, but there are a number of academy graduates starting to creep in. Do you think this could be a start of a rebirth with Barcelona? Because they've gone through the mud. This is classic
Yeah, they're down
rise and
bad.
fall of a football club. This is a team that was renowned for winning Champions Leagues of recent times to now
Mm.
being in Europa League.
Oh
You
God, I
know,
forgot about that.
this is a proper fall. But I feel when you have a bit of despair, there is
Mm.
opportunity, and these guys,
Mm.
as I said, there's two or three of these players who are at Barcelona and are playing, and I think a number of more of them are going to start to come in.
Mm.
So I actually generally think that this discussion about Barcelona as a whole, the rise and fall, and
Mm.
maybe the Phoenix rebirth,
Yeah.
that could, I think that'd be a great show to do in the near future.
Oh,
So
definitely.
I think probably later on in the season, because it'll be interesting to see how their
How they
season
do.
pans
Yeah.
out. Does Xavi get them to being relevant
Mm.
in La Liga? Do they win, Europa League outright? You'd like to think
Yeah.
because of who they are, they'd win it
They
quite
should,
easily.
but even then, you're seeing a lot of teams in the Europa, and you're thinking they could have a
Yeah,
go at them.
yeah.
Mm. I think with Barcelona, it's so weird to me because what made Barcelona great was their academy. And I think the moment they went away from that was when things started to fall apart. They started to buy like the best up and coming youngster from this area. So they tried to buy like Usman Dembele. I think
Mm.
because they struck gold with Neymar and they thought like they could do it again by buying Usman Dembele, then Philip Coutinho, and then they kept trying to like buy the next superstar.
Yeah,
When
they went Real Madrid model,
yeah,
and
that's not their style. The Barcelona style is the next superstar came normally comes from them.
mm,
Like if you look at their best squads, a lot of a lot of players are from the academy. Even go as
yeah,
far back as Pep Guardiola days when Johan Cruyff was in charge. A lot of academy players were coming through. And I think
just
now they're going back to that. I think they're starting to realize, oh, because they know the Barcelona. Obviously, people say like oh, clubs don't have a way. Barcelona clubs do have a way. Barcelona have their way of football, and I think because of the way they are taught in that academy, they understand the Barcelona football style, and they're able to actually adapt. I think also bringing back Xavi, who's a product of it, and probably one of their best academy graduates ever. It's just going to build that whole sense of we're Barcelona again. We're coming back.
mm. So going back, we'll keep bringing it back
Mm.
to the original point. Are these guys, this current crop, doing as much as what a Benfica are doing, the Manchester United, the Chelsea's? Because it all sounds very
Yeah,
glamorous, but are they really? Because
yeah, they're
they
still
only
down
have just
bad.
started, aren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
like Barcelona is still down bad. Like this is we can't judge them yet. Because you only judge them based on what they've done. They've only played about maximum. They've only played less than half a season. Most of those
mm,
players.
yeah,
So I think we can't just like have these assumptions on them made a year. But they all look like talents.
yeah,
They all they all play like they're years ahead of what they should be. But we should wait because it could be a lot of like because when an academy player comes through, we've had it a lot with different clubs. You get a younger academy player, they come through, they play a lot of good games, and then they just fall off quickly.
yeah.
We need to start like I think within the next year or two, we're gonna see like the separation of certain players. We're going to see the real up and comers, and we're going to see the fraudsters, your Delafayus, because back in 2017, everyone thought this was going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
Then it didn't go too well. We went to Watford, and I don't even know. I don't think people know where he's even playing now. I think he's
Hmm.
playing maybe in Turkey or somewhere, but he's not like no offense to the Turkish league, but they're not a top league anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like give it a bit of time. Let's see how these players do. We're not gonna trying to rush to conclusions. So I don't think the whole Phoenix in the Ashes thing. Let's just relax a bit
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. 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 But to sort of wrap everything up,
Hmm.
I'm gonna go back to you. So after everything we've discussed, we looked at all the metrics even.
Hmm.
I've got Matrix in the brain with the film coming out, but the metrics in terms of how we've measured what makes a successful academy. Right here, right now, I'm gonna put you to it. Who is the best academy going after all we've discussed and all the callers?
Okay, have to say, I would have to say Chelsea because they are the only team that has found a good mix of having a certain quality of player whilst also producing a lot of them.
Mm. Uh,
I don't think
yeah,
any club has managed to do the same kind of quality and quantity combination. It might not be like the biggest superstar, but
mm,
they are top players
yeah.
and they're all doing quite well in their respective clubs. I don't think that there aren't a lot of Chelsea academy flops. Maybe you can recently, maybe Victor Moses. Does he even
Uh,
that's not really
well,
that's a
let's not go there.
but even then he's won a Premier League as a starting right wing back. So
mm,
what can we really say about him? Like he can
yeah,
go to bed at night looking at his trophy cabinet and being like, I did a pretty good job. So
but
mm,
but yeah, I remain unmoved. You know, there's a lot of very good academies out there, and academies that should be proud of the work
mm,
that they're doing. There's a numbers of other clubs that quite clearly isn't the top of their priorities. They want to perhaps sneak in these people when
mm,
their contracts are coming up, and because of their presence, they can do that.
mm.
But yeah, Chelsea for me right here, right now is definitely best. It'll be, as I said, it'll be interesting to perhaps go back to this video at the end of the season,
Oh God.
see if we're swayed with
Yeah.
with anybody's mad
Could be
movements in terms of
recency
trophies.
bias. It could be recency bias and then a whole bunch of them just start to flop. It could be like the new club bounce and then they all just fizzle out. It would God.
But guys, this is our our uncomfortable truth to you guys. But what do you think? Don't forget the ministry is on Twitter and on Instagram.
Yeah.
Don't forget to hit the description to find the links there. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to this one, as well as following myself at Jinky with two Y's in the end,
Yep.
and Doctor Who Sam 7. If there's something that you feel that we've got right or got wrong, tell us. And I'm still wanting Man City fans, or any fan for that matter, please send
Mm.
me footage of Rabiot doing something for
Oh
Man City
please.
Academy. Please, I
Um
want to see something. Oh, just one video.
and Arsenal fans, please show me when your academy was actually good because apparently your academy is so great, but I haven't really seen the only player I can really think of is Ashley Cole. So please prove me wrong.
And on that Arsenal note, with Christmas coming up, we've got a fantastic special show coming up.
Mm,
Boxing Day is with the Aussie Gooner. He's a special guest. We're going to be exploring essentially the fall of Premier League greatness when it comes to
mm,
both Manchester United and Arsenal. So, guys, definitely watch that show. It's going to be an absolute blast.
mm.
Aussie Gunner is a brilliant character, and as this is the last show before Christmas, have a great one.
Merry
Enjoy
Christmas.
enjoy your wine and mince pie.
Oof.
Goodbye.